Having gathered in a company of three people, players choose one of the available adventure and then decide on the class and appearance of their characters. Today we are talking about For the King, and the first choice is frankly scanty. There are few classes, appearance settings are also sparse. But over time, everything will change. I called For the King a bagel for a reason. It's assumed for you play the game a lot of and often. At the same time, the first attempts to overcome the story campaign are almost guaranteed to end in failure. But each run will bring you special coins for you can buy new classes of heroes and items in the game store. There is also the notorious exterior that is cosmetic since do not affect the gameplay. A terrible phrase, Play Store. In this case, you should not be afraid, for the king is not a free-to-play MMO. This is not the donut in the game, for the king is a random but the honest RPG, as befits a good roguelike. All purchases here are made only for the currency collected in-game itself. Actually, before I even had time to say a word about the game and mechanics, I think I have already revealed the main secret of the popularity of For the King. You pay just $10 once you find a couple of friends who are ready to part with a similar amount and start farming local dungeons, gradually cleaning out the store and discovering more and more new content. Dozens, if not hundreds of game hours provided, it's almost like PvE mode in MMO, but without donation subscription battle pass. I repeat, the main plug can be lack of like-minded people. In principle, no one forbids managing all the heroes alone, but it turns out that somehow specific. It all starts with moving around the map. The game world is divided into hexes. Players, or heroes if they are controlled by one person, take turns in sequence, and the start of turn each character rolls a die. The dropped number determines the radius of movement. If desired, you can move a little farther by adding the so-called focus points to the throw. One focus equal 1 plus to the result of die roll. By the way, the focus can be spent not only on movement but also in increasing the chance of the successful hit on the enemy on saving throws in events. It's a pity that focus points are restored slowly. From the foregoing, each hero is separate chip on the map. It is better for the characters to stick together, but no one bothers them to scatter to different parts of the world. Therefore, playing For the King alone is pleasure for everyone. It's like, I don't know, there were one time such a pretty primitive board games on the forum. Throw a die to move your chip to the number of spaces that have fallen out. The winner is one who first brought his chip to the finish line. There is essentially no gameplay, pure random, but is there even in the campaign for some intro cake scenting? It was very funny, but sitting alone and throwing die for everyone, it never seemed existing to anyone. Of course, For the King is a much more interesting and varied game, but in single, the above feeling willy-nilly arises. In any case, I have. You seem to be returning to the end of the 20th century when only Sailor Moon was from an anime that even not with subtitles. Fighting For the King should be as often as possible. Fights are the main source of money, items and experience. For completing tasks they give a small reward and there are a few quests themselves. At the edge of story arc is a dungeon generated for several rooms and final boss. Players go to the dungeon at the same time, regardless of the zones and controls. Even if the players are scattered around the world, when one of them enters the dungeon, the rest will be teleported from desired point, almost like a summoning stone. For the King is played fun and interesting, but again, the main feature of the game is coordination with other people, discussing the changes that have occurred on the map, and it's constantly changing due to random events. Plus, there is no division into the day and night, laying the best routes, agreeing on the division of loot, and so on the forth. If you play solo, the charm of game quickly subsides. In fact, For the King turned out to be overly random and not so well developed RPG with a plot for show. Not the game is far and away not bad, but if we consider to play other single player modes, there are projects that are much better. Each weapon has a basic hit and a couple of special moves. Roughly speaking, if you want to without hit enemies with fire, look for an appropriate staff and other magical item. You can cast fireball with the sword in your hand. True, he is not known here is an XCOM or Battle Brothers. Each move, including a simple strike, has a number of dice assigned to it. There are no numbers on them. Only two positions can fall out success or failure. If all the dice roll a success when playing the move, a critical hit follows it for a failure than a miss. With mixed values, the damage varies. For example, if 4 dice are assigned to weapon with 8 damage, then if they roll it for success on one failure, the damage to the enemy will be 6 HP, but this is not accurate. Other factors such as armor and the mob's banal resistance to one to another type of damage can intermittently fizz in element. Far from being for outstanding RPG if we consider it is a single player. However, due to the high replay value, the co-op pulls for the game to the top. Bye bye.